Now, remember that reptiles aren't the only cold-blooded creature that are here in Michigan surviving our winters. Insects have just as much of a challenge to be able to survive the winter season. And while, sure, some complete their life cycle within a year, others have a life cycle that goes over a few years, multiple years, or they carry on multiple generations. So, how does an insect survive our cold? Well, there's a couple different things they can do. One that we're very familiar with, we call a monarch butterfly. And now I can't bring you an actual monarch butterfly just because they're not here right now. They migrate. We've talked about this before when we think about birds. Monarch butterflies, the adult version, are able to travel 1,000+ miles to get down to Mexico, where there's a lot more food or nectar, as well as a lot more warmth. But as they're going down, these guys don't actually eat that much and they can't reproduce, they can't lay eggs. And that goes along with something that other insects do here for the ones that don't migrate. A lot of insects don't have wings, or at least they're unable to fly those longer distances. So even though adult monarch butterflies can migrate, what about all the other insects that are still in a cocoon, or are eggs, or young insects that are unable to fly? Well, insects go through a version of hibernation we call diapause. Now, pay attention to the word because the big part here is pause. Diapause occurs in insects when they basically put a pause on their life cycle. They stop growing, they're not able to eat, they're not able to lay eggs. They basically pause their life. However, diapause doesn't just mean going to sleep and pausing your life cycle. Even active butterflies that are migrating are also going through diapause. Why? Well, remember how I said how they don't eat and can't lay eggs? That's because they're basically pausing that action within their life cycle. These guys are the final adults out of a series of generations of butterflies that year. And once they get down south in Mexico or in warmer climates, their life cycle's over. But to get there, they kind of put it on pause so they can keep all of their energy towards traveling south. Now, here in Michigan, for the insects that don't migrate, when they go through diapause, they're usually in one set stage of their life cycle. The most common stage we see the insects overwintering here in Michigan as are in here, what we call a pupa. These are most often found in a cocoon or some kind of enclosement, usually made out of plants, that they're able to basically keep themselves protected like a shield and put a pause on their life cycle. We can actually look inside a cocoon to see what one of these pupa might look like. Here, let's take a closer look. Now, if I switch my camera to our document camera, you can actually see we have a cocoon that's open here. This is from a large moth called the Cecropia moth. And inside is the shell of the pupa of that moth. When insects go through diapause, they basically, like we said, put a pause on their life cycle. Well, when a moth is overwintering in its cocoon, it stays in this shell and stays perfectly still. It waits till warmer weather, we call it an environmental cue, to know to start changing its form or going through metamorphosis to turn into a moth, to grow wings, and a bunch of other features from a caterpillar to an adult moth. But in here, inside the shell, is where they spend the majority of their winter season, covered up by this silk cocoon and staying in this state, paused until there's warmer weather. That's important to remember since many insects do the same, even if they don't go through the same kind of life cycle as a butterfly or a moth. Now, another thing to remember is what's happening when these guys travel, or really when any animal migrates or moves. For example, these guys know exactly where they're going, but they don't have a map with them. So, how can butterflies tell where they're traveling? Well, we can understand that better by using a compass. A lot of times humans will use maps or a compass or navigation on their smart device or with a physical map to be able to tell how to get from point A to point B. We can understand how that works and how animals use directions just by using a compass. Animals are able to tell where north, south, east, and west is, particularly because of where the sun is. Oftentimes, if you're looking up in the sky, you'll see the sun in a certain position. That's because the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. You can even go outside, look outside your window, and see where the sun is. If it's near the afternoon to evening, the sun is setting on the west side. If it's early in the morning, it's rising from the east side. But we can learn more about directions just by picking a way to look at different objects in your house. Here, for example, go ahead and find a compass and put it on a flat, hard surface. You'll notice all compasses have a red and white arrow. That red arrow should always point true north, or where the direction north is, where the North Pole goes. So right now, as I'm looking at the camera, north is behind me. That's north. If I faced that way, I'd be looking north. Since I'm looking at the camera at you, I'm facing south, the opposite of north. Most animals that migrate, like butterflies, typically travel south. So they travel in the direction I'm facing. And to make sure they're going south, they also have to know where east and west is and where certain objects, landscapes, and habitats are. To get a better idea of the directions where you're standing, sitting, and the direction of where certain objects are in your house, let's practice using our compass a little bit to get a better idea of how navigation works. Go ahead, keep your compass flat, and I want you to turn to face north, or wherever north is in your house. Okay? Now, once you're facing north, look at your compass. You'll see that on your right side should be east, on your left side should be west, and behind you should be south. Now that you know where those directions are, still facing north and making sure your compass is facing north, pick an object in your house. It could be a TV, a book, a chair, some food. Go ahead and look at that object. What direction is that object based on where you're standing? For example, if you're facing north and you're looking to the right at an object, that object should be east of you, because we know that east is on the right side. Right now, I'm looking at a video screen, and that's because this video screen is south. So I'm looking south, or that object is south of me. Think you get it? You can keep practicing by finding other objects, using your compass, and determining where the direction is. It is easiest, though, to first find north, or face that way, to get a better idea of where the other three main directions are, knowing that many of these creatures that migrate often go south, and also have to know where east, west, and north is at all times when they migrate.